Adam, we are back again with another show of the top 10 worst teams in the NFL from the 2024 season. And we're looking at where it went wrong for them and how it can get better. We're going to look at some free agents, the draft, coaching decisions and all that. And today we are looking at the New England Patriots. They are currently third in the draft. Let's bring him up. They are currently third in the draft as we are recording. They are 3-10, like a lot of teams. So that could change in terms of the strength of schedule. But this is where they are. Adam, how have they ended up in this position?
Yeah, so there's not like masses to say here really with the Patriots because we all kind of know what's happened. Obviously, they've had the dynasty for so long under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. They went. And that was kind of the beginning of it. I mean, Tom Brady went off to the Bucs to go and win another Super Bowl, and it kind of drifted a little bit. And then Belichick has now gone as well. So, to be honest, like I say, there's not a great deal to say. It's very much a new era, and we all kind of knew that it was going to be a struggle for them once you lose, a quarterback of 20 years and a head coach of just as long, and it kind of felt like it wasn't a surprise that once that had happened and the likes of, Julian Edelman and Gronkowski went as well, that it was all going to be a bit of a struggle. But obviously, they've brought in Gerard Mayo, who is their head coach. They've got Elliot Wolf as their GM. Both of them are new when it comes to being in their position. So it would be very surprising if either guy left their position. Gerard Mayo has kind of been groomed for this role for, I think they came out and said about 5 years they've been waiting for basically Belichick to go and for him to come in. So there's no real, there isn't anything else other than the fact that you just got to let them go and let them see what they can do, because the idea of taking him out now, once you've done that and bringing in someone new, just would be crazy.
Yeah, I think they stick with him. Kraft said it was his guy. You touched on it there, that they've been wanting this guy to be their head coach for a long time now, and it wouldn't have gone to any of the others that they've had there. It would have been Mayo's job. So I'd be very surprised if they went, 1 year, you're out. Yeah. Considering if I was a Patriots fan, despite the fact I'm 3-10, I'd be watching them going, there's a lot of positives here. Our quarterback for the future looks good. We've got a plethora of young wide receivers that can kick on and hopefully improve. And the defense hasn't looked bad. It's always been good. I suppose there's lots of positive to take as a fan, and you always knew you were going to have a bad year. So I don't think they're going to be too disheartened like some of these other teams that are down there, and they'll be looking forward to the future. So yeah, I think you're right. They stick with what they've got. They give it another go. They build and try and build on what they've currently got going with Drake May, which has been really good to see. So I'd stick with what they've got as well.
They've got a lot of holes. There are issues on that team, but that's like any team that's going to be down here. There's going to be a few holes that they need to sort out. But I think Drake May has shown that there's potential there, and that it's worth sticking with him and moving on. And so it's not all bad at all.
No, not at all. Let's take a look at their team. We did say it was full of youngsters and draft picks that they had from at wide receiver. There they are, Patriots.
Yeah, so when you do look at it, there's obviously they've got Drake May there, so we don't have to talk about the quarterback position in this particular one. It's sorted out, and that's not a problem. So arguably, you could say they found the best. They've got the main piece already, so it's not so much of an issue. However, there are concerns for them on both sides of the ball. I think wide receiver is a huge issue for them. They need that number one guy. They just don't have it. Demario Douglas, I think, has been okay, but he's kind of more of a wide receiver 3 kind of slot guy. And although Keishon Booty has been involved a little bit, Kendrick Bourne has been involved a little bit, Jalen Polk can't seem to be able to catch anything. He just drops it all the time. And Javon Baker hasn't really been involved that much. So it kind of feels like there's no number one guy here, and they desperately need to be able to look for that. I think the O-line just probably generally that they need to improve across the board. I would argue that basically Onwenu, I think he's good, and the rest of them you could probably all take out and start again. Really, I don't think there's anything particularly spectacular there, and so I would argue. I mean, I've written down 2 guards, 1 tackle is what they really need. So I think that's a concern on the defense. I think they need a bit of help at edge. I think they're not quite that. They're not great there. I think I think White has been decent for them, but they could do with that. And then corner. I've got corner as well, just because John Jones is a free agent, so he's not going to be around. And they've got a fair few free agents that they need to. None of them are what you would say in massively. That I wouldn't say any of them are like amazing or gonna sort of like. I can't imagine any of them are going to claim that much money from another team when they get signed, but other than probably Jonathan Jones and maybe Brissett as well, because he's a free agent as well. But yeah, I think that there are quite a few holes, but O-line is a biggie.
Yeah, I think when you look at the names as well, you're kind of looking at it going, if you're not a Patriots fan, you're probably going, I'm not really sure, and I've watched them. Yeah. It definitely needs strengthening, and you've got your quarterback for the future, so it's definitely a thing. This is a team that we'll segue into it in a bit, but this is a team that is heavily been rumored that they're going to do everything in their power to get T. Higgins. So, Adam, 1, have they got the money to do that? 2, do you think that there is stuff behind this? And 3, do you think that is what they should be hitting in the free agency over O-line?
1, yes. 2, yes, and 3, yes. Yeah, they really do need to be going out and getting the guy. That's what they're really missing, a wide receiver. And so I think bringing in T. Higgins is definitely the way forward. They've got 117 million. They're top of the table in cap space, so they can literally go out and buy what they like. Really, they've got plenty of ability to do that. And although they're not going to be a team that is going to be challenging in the next sort of. That probably not a couple of years. I think it's going to take a while for them to be able to really become something big again. I think they have the potential to do it because they have the quarterback. And so, yeah, I think someone like T. Higgins with his age and putting him on like a 4-year deal, I think would be exactly the sort of thing that they need to do, because he would really be able to, maybe like the first couple of years, it would be a struggle to get them there. But then after that, you kind of hope if everything goes right, then it should make sense that he would still be there and doing well. So, yeah, love T. Higgins for this. Got loads of money in order to be able to do it, so that's not a problem. When I was as I said, O-line, I just think O-line is what they need to be looking at a lot. I think they need 2 guards and a tackle. I think James Daniels would be great for them. He's only 27, so I think he would be ideal. I think someone like Zach Martin is just probably too old for what it is that they're going to be wanting to do in the long run. But they may have to go down that route just purely because they need to get some good guys in there. But I've mentioned him in previous shows. I think Tevin Jenkins would be a really good guard for them to go for as well. Evan Brown at the Cardinals is someone that they could maybe look at. So, yeah, I think that they just need to sort of like improve that. And there's plenty of guys out there who are not massively expensive, but they do bring a decent amount of experience, which I think you probably do need on the O-line.
Yeah, I like the look of them maybe bringing in Jedrick Wills as well. And he's only
Yeah.
25. He was a massive prospect out of college. It hasn't. I think he was good at the start for Cleveland, but maybe it's because he's in Cleveland. But we've never overly said Cleveland's O-line's been bad.
No.
So I think Jedrick Wills could be one for them. He's still young, and they could turn him into a left tackle, and him turn into live up to his hype that he had coming into the NFL. So I like that as a pick.
Yeah, there's, like I say, there's loads of guys here that you could go for. I think he's a good choice. Someone you could look at that would be good. I mean, I wouldn't say that the Cardinals O-line has been magnificent, but I think it's been all right. I mean, Will Hernandez is there as well. I think
because we had him at the Giants, and he was kind of like, "Oh, he's not it. Let's get rid." And he's been good for them, I think.
Yeah. So there's lots of guys here, and I just feel like their whole O-line, like I say, apart from Onwenu, they just haven't really done a lot, and they haven't been great. And so I think that they can go out and they can do that and get themselves a really sort of go through it. And you look at what the guide is like. Will Hernandez is like $4.5 million. I mean, if they wanted to, they could. Nate Herbig is $4 million. I really like James Daniels. He's 8. I mean, you could go out and get yourself 2 really top quality guards here. And get yourself a tackle as well if you wanted to. And someone like Cam Robinson, I know he's a lot of money, but like he's a really good tackle and someone you could look at. Or Ronnie Stanley. I think that these guys, okay, they're older, but they're still decent guys that you could get, and you've got the money to do it. You can go and get T. Higgins as well. You can go and look at corner if you want to have a look. I mean, we looked at it in a different one, but like Rasul Douglas is around, someone like that. It would be a good guy to bring in. And so, you can kind of do all of this with this money that you have. And then you can almost look at the draft in a way of sort of maybe it would be a good idea to basically bring best player available to a certain extent, and just sort of like just really go in every area, trying to pick up and sort of like pad out that whole thing, because they do have a lot of players. I think they've got 18 free agents, but like I say, none of them are, apart from Jonathan Jones, I don't really feel like any of them are massively going to be an issue for them to move on from.
Yeah, I'm glad that you say that maybe best player available is where it's going, because I know my section's coming up of who they're going to take in the draft, and I thought you were going to push back on who I would have them taken. So maybe let's take a look.
Well, let's see what silly things you do. What are you going to come up with?
Well, he said best player available. I think that's easy. 3 rounds. Oh, nearly did 7 then. That could have been fun.
Yeah.
So should be 2 quarterbacks off. Yeah, 2 Shedeur Sanders went to the Giants on that one. Lovely.
Can I just say, I know we're not doing trades in this, but yes, it is definitely something that they might want to look at.
Yes, I think so,
if they are at number 3, there are teams that are maybe going to be looking to get a quarterback and might going to want to come up for like Jalen Milroe or something like that. Tennessee is a team that could do it. They might want to go down that route. Cleveland might want to go down that route. So there are options for them, and they could get more picks and just sort of, develop more again. So
there's a possibility, bar the Panthers maybe now that are obviously going to stick with Bryce Young, that you could move down a little bit and probably still get the player that you might have wanted at 3. So, yes, it's a possibility of trading out of this spot. But if they don't, best player available, Travis Hunter, the best player in college. This. I know you may say like, O-line would be better for them. There's big O-linemen there.
Well, no, not necessarily, because we've brought in a load of veterans, you see. So this is what I mean. You don't have to go down O-line in this specific example, we've gone out and got a load of O-line guys, so there's no reason to do it. So I've got no problem with this. And the thing is, with someone like Travis Hunter, he can play wide receiver, he can play corner. He's probably, I would have thought, going to go as a corner. That makes the most sense to me.
He won't, will he? He'll play corner.
Well, okay, but he should go. He should be looking at being a corner because that's where he's going to be best at, is what I'm saying. But he has the ability to play wide receiver as well. So I feel like this would be the exact kind of person that actually would be ideal for the Patriots.
Perfect for them. You've just said he plays wide receiver, he plays cornerback. He's one of the top 5 at his both positions in the league. So it's not as if he's good at one and great at the other, or average at one or anything. He's great at both. He's easily the best player in college football. He won I think he's the AP Player of the Year. He's the favorite for the Heisman Trophy. He was nominated for the Blitnikoff Award, which is the award for wide receivers. He was nominated for another defensive award. He was snubbed for the Thorpe Award, which is the best cornerback. I can't believe that he wasn't even in that. And he's played the whole season injury-free and is playing between 120 and 140 snaps a game. I just think we mentioned, imagine they've got a number 1 cornerback in Christian Gonzalez, who's incredible. So bringing Travis Hunter in and having 2 incredible cornerbacks, not many teams can say they can do that. And it means he might not have to play every single snap at cornerback, and you can play him more at wide receiver if you need him. We said wide receiver was a big need for them, and he's come up really, really big in some of those games. He's one of the main reasons with Shedeur Sanders that this team has gone from winning no games to nearly qualifying for the playoffs. So for me, it's a no-brainer for them to take him at pick 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that in this specific one, it works and makes a lot of sense for them. My concern with him during college is I just think they're using him too much. So it's like they're just going to wear him out. That's where the problem comes in. But I do feel like if you want a guy who is going to be predominantly a corner and then can go on to become a wide receiver, almost have like 10 plays a game as wide receiver, then I think you're using him in a slightly different way to what they have done at Colorado, which is basically use him for everything. So that's my only concern for him. But yeah, I think that makes sense for the Patriots.
Their next pick, do you think, I know we brought loads in from free agency, but do you think this is the right pick to take O-line for them as well? Do you think second round, bring a youngster in, if you're bringing in some old Cam Robinson or people like that, but only be there for a year? So you're bringing in a youngster now in the second round to learn and maybe take it over if you've got one of these guys on just a 1-year deal?
Yeah, I mean, they do need to look at O-line. I think we've brought in a lot of guys, but there's no reason why you can't bring in someone younger. So it does feel like O-line is the right thing to do here. I do also think edge is something that they need to look at, but then you could maybe do that later on in the draft, because I feel like both O-line and edge, there's quite a bit of depth this year from what I've seen. So I think that it depends what you think is more important. I would argue O-line is the most important thing for them because they need to be able to help Drake May out. So yeah, I think O-line is definitely worth a go.
I thought Chris Connolly might still be here. He was on our last one, but he's not here on this one, which is quite odd. But I can't pick him again, can I? Can't just pick Emory Jones just because he's left there every time. Seems a bit odd. I do think, as I said, Chris Connolly will be there for them to pick, and I think that would be the pick. But if not, can I? Yes, I can go back. Where did he go? I went to the New York Giants. at pick 2 of this.
Your own team screwed you over in the.
So yeah, they'll take Emery Jones. You could switch those 2 round if you like. I know we've already said this name prior already, but he is a good talent, and like I said, he's one for the future. Maybe you can turn him into a left tackle eventually. But just looking at the names, I think they do need to take it in this round. Looking at the names below, I think Cornelius is good, but he's not second round talent. So I think you've got to do it in this round if they're going to go O-line in the draft.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. So go O-line, and then I think it depends what you want to look at. I mean, you could argue that running back is something that they need to look at. They've got 2 third-round picks in.
They've just signed Stevenson to a new deal.
They have signed Stevenson, yes, but that's about all that there's there, really. There isn't a great deal after that. So I do wonder whether they might want to look into getting a younger running back as something that they could use, as they've got 2 third-round picks. And then I like I said, I think edge, just so they've got a younger edge guy there is probably a good move.
Maybe edge might have been the right decision with the other pick. Just looking at what edges are left on there, I'm not sure whether edge you're getting the value, and maybe you're buying a big edge rusher. Just have a little look if there's any. Tell you what, I think wide receiver might be a good pick for them at this point. Go out there and get a really high end wide receiver. That I'm surprised that. All of those names that are left on there are still on there. So maybe this is the pick to go for a wide receiver. I do think that Elric Alamana would be good, but the fact that Restrepo's still on there shocks me with how well he's been playing this season. Equally, I'd rate both of the Oregon wide receivers, Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart as well. But I think Restrepo is definitely for me the one to go for. Though I did put in our college group about the Stanford wide receiver and how he's one to watch for the draft. But I think maybe wide receiver value wise is good here and really helps them. And then,
I mean, they do need wide, especially if you're going to use Travis Hunter mainly corner. Then I think you probably do need to get yourself a wide receiver.
What's best?
Also, I had a quick look as well. There are quite a few decent edge players out there that you could go out and get in free agency. Obviously, they've got the money to do it as well. So, they could go and get someone like Josh Sweat from the Eagles. They've got the money to be able to do that. So if you didn't want to go edge, or if you wanted to go someone who's had a really good season actually on the Eagles as sort of like more of a linebacker, but he can play edge, Zach Bourne. He's one that they could bring in and do really well. That he's a bit cheaper, so they could do that. So edge isn't necessarily what they have to go for.
I know he's been injured all year, for most of the year. But he was probably one of the number 1 prospects of the season, and I think he will still be rated quite highly. I do like the look of them taking Harold Perkins. I know it's listed him as a linebacker, but I think he can play a hybrid position. He's probably was LSU's best player on their team. I believe he's the captain as well. So I like the look of them taking Harold Perkins here at the 78th pick, and I know he should be recovered easily by then because it was an early in the season injury, so he's been out for I don't know at least 12 weeks maybe. So it'll be good to go, and it'll be fantastic for them. And I think he fits in perfectly with probably what they're doing. So I'd probably take Harold Perkins here at this pick.
There you go. You got four A's.
Hey, getting good at this.
It's almost like you know what you're doing. But there you go. Yeah, I think a lot of it makes sense. They've got themselves some really good players there with their 4 picks they got in the first 3 rounds. Obviously, they'll have some more as well later on down the line. But I mean, it's kind of. I think it's a funny one actually. The Patriots. It was a few years ago, wasn't it? About 3 years ago, they went on a bit of a spending spree. They had loads of money and went on the spending spree, and now they're kind of back to it again, where they can have another go now. And but there's a lot of really good players out there that are available and can really make a difference. I think, you know, we've gone for T. Higgins, James Daniels, Tevin Jenkins. You know, there's some edge guys out there like Zach Bourne you can go for as well. And then you've got these guys as well coming in as rookies that I think would be really good. Travis Hunter, basically replacing Jonathan Jones. And like you say, that's really scary, having Christian Gonzalez and Travis Hunter as your two corners. So that would be huge for them. You know, and then you've got Emory Jones to help out on the O-line as well, and a wide receiver in Restrepo. So yeah, there's you know, they have the money to really make a big difference going into next season. So again, as we said in the Giants show, it's not all doom and gloom. There is a lot of hope if they just do what we tell them to do.
If they stick to our rules, we'll all package this up and send it to them in the post, and we'll be seeing these teams at the top of the NFL. You know, the Bills will be knocked off the top after one season. No, they won't.
Exactly. There you
go. Well, that's the Patriots. Again, a lot to look forward to for the fans. Lots of picks, lots of free agency. It could be a really exciting time in the off season to be a Patriots fan with the amount that they might have going on, mightn't it?
Yeah,